Hello, Tech 3020. This is Corey Zuppo, your instructor, and I wanted to provide you with a wrap-up of weeks 1 and 2. During week 1, we had the research article assignment, in which most of you did pretty well. It was the type of thing that I figured was new to a lot of you in terms of actually going out to a scholarly journal and pulling research to analyze and look at from a critique standpoint. And when I say critique, it's not a general term, it's more of a formula for what you should include in terms of this was good, this was bad, elements, dynamics, all that sort of thing. How well did the author do in conveying what they were trying to convey? I know in writing research that has been or will be conducted from a personal standpoint, sometimes it's hard to be clear to other readers when you think that you are being perfectly clear. So having the opportunity to critique research in the scholarly community and provide feedback in that way is pretty important. But of course, prior to publication, one should endeavor to get as many eyes on the article as possible to have sounding boards to provide this sort of feedback to say, hey, I don't know what the heck you were trying to say here. And it can happen regardless of the skills of the writer, that sometimes different readers will take things differently. I know this from my dissertation research as well. So anyway, that was kind of an introduction to how I expect you to frame your arguments throughout this class. One of the things I stress in 3020 is citing where you got the information you got to make your argument. In other words, standing on the shoulders of giants is sort of a phrase that's kicked around a lot. If you are making an argument based upon solid research and good, sound methodologies, it's probably conceivable then that your argument, when you synthesize more than one of these good arguments, would be better than if you had just said, well, my opinion is X, Y, and Z. And of course, in my world, nobody is entitled to have an opinion until they're Dr. So-and-so. And while I'm nearly Dr. Zuppo, I still have to be on my toes in terms of framing all of my arguments according to someone else's work. And even after I'm Dr. So-and-so, I will still need to do that because it's understanding what's been done before and what does it mean. So where does that put us now, and how can we proceed to dig further to inquire about the subject? So it's all those kinds of things. Goodness of sources is pretty important. I have gotten a couple of questions from people, and I may have even put this in my FAQs. Don't ever cite Wikipedia in my course, ever. It is the entree to a failing grade. There are so many great resources out there, especially through our library system, that you don't need to, first of all. And second of all, it's an open source compilation and can be edited by anyone, regardless of credibility. So again, falling back on things that we know, the first choice is the scholarly research venue, and onward from there. So my suggestion is to usually find 3 resources that kind of help you build the argument you're trying to build from scholarly and academic resources, and go forward from there. I think everybody should have the textbook by now. Have had some questions about the rubric that I put together for online discussion postings. This really became necessary, I think, after I looked at week 2. And the participation for week 2 was very, very low. Probably the lowest that I've ever had for any course that I've ever taught. And so to me as an instructor, that says, all right, what should I be doing to help students, number 1, understand what's expected of them, and number 2, give them the tools to learn. So that was why I put together the discussion rubric. Please read it and understand it. If you have questions, don't hesitate to either call me. I have office hours every Tuesday night, and invariably I will sit there from 6 to 8 p.m. without student contact. and then get a flurry of questions Wednesday morning. Now, Tuesday at 6 to 8 may not be the most convenient time for everyone. However, understand that this time is set aside for you, specifically you. So if I'm sitting there like the Maytag repairman and people have questions, it kind of doesn't help. The other thing is you can always shoot off an email. I'm very prompt in getting back to you regarding your emails. And if you don't hear back from me and it's been 36, 48 hours, that's odd. Perhaps I haven't received the email. So make sure that you follow up on those contacts and don't be afraid to ask questions. Post things on the FAQ board if you have a question. And I would suggest in general with your communications, regardless of what they are, please understand that any written communication you have with me or your peers is the only representation that we have of who you are. Check your spelling. Use capital letters. Use complete sentences. Use punctuation. Try to put your best foot forward. And I'll tell you honestly that typing with my thumbs on my eye thing, I'm bad at it. So occasionally the autocorrect will get me, and I'll send something out that has a word that was supposed to be something else if I'm in a hurry. Mostly in text this happens. Haven't had anything real disastrous happen as a result yet, but it could. Anyway, go back and look at what it is that you're saying. And just out of respect for whoever it is on the receiving end, make sure that your communication actually makes sense and that you're saying what you want to say. Please, if you ever have an issue too where it may be a little bit of a sensitive communication, get someone else to read this and say, hey, does this come across like I'm trying to come across? Because I know that if I've had a communication that I've been trying to draft and it's a difficult conversation, or I'm upset about something, or I'm confused, there are times when choosing my words can be a little more challenging than others. So, rely on the people around you to cover you. Electronically mediated communication is far, far different from face-to-face communication. There's no inflection. Like now, when I'm talking to you, you probably have a better sense of how I communicate than before when it was two-dimensional through my written word. Same thing goes for emails, texts, postings, that sort of thing. So when I put together this discussion rubric, coming back to the point here, it's not like I'm going to set these things in stone and fine-tooth every single posting that you put forward. That's your responsibility, not mine. Your responsibility is to look at these sets of guidelines and say, okay, for an A-level posting, here are the elements and dynamics I need to have. Here's what it takes for me to have a successful participation in this regard, in this forum, for this class. How other professors do it, I don't know, I don't care. These are the standards that I'm setting forth. And so I've tried to be as explicit as possible. Understanding that, a one-sentence response, not going to get it. My grading for weeks 1 and 2 is probably going to be the most lenient that you're going to see throughout the semester. It's not that I'm a tough grader. It's just that I'm trying to help you push yourself a little. And I understand that there are lots of pressures in life and lots of other things to juggle. I'm the same way. I have kids. I spend my time running back and forth between Columbus and Bowling Green. I hear what you're saying. I understand. But at the end of the day, it's always been my responsibility to get my stuff done, whatever that means. Lots of sacrifices, but hey, people don't give away degrees. And most of you are in Bachelor's of Science programs, so I think that the rigor and the satisfaction of earning that degree comes with some sacrifice. Now, there are emergent situations that come up, family emergencies and that sort of thing. Contact me right away. Don't wait. Family is always first in this world, as far as I'm concerned. So if you've got a problem, health problem, family problem, get with me right away. I'm extremely understanding. Slacking, that's a different thing altogether. I have had my slacker moments in life, and, I understand things can happen. But I've also been quite serious as a student too. So in all fairness to everyone around you, there has to be sort of an understanding of standards. And I know you appreciate that.